Welcome to Strong Talks by Strong Fitness Magazine. I'm your host, Gail Mitch. This is episode number 2 with our March-April cover athlete, Caroline Drury. I'm so excited to have you here today, Caroline. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be part of the Strong family on this cover, and I'm so delighted to meet you. And, doing this cover has really expanded the amazing women that I've been able to meet. So I'm delighted.
Awesome. Yes. Well, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
I know we'd only just met recently. So a lot of the things that I'm really excited to kind of dig into today. And I thought a great place to start would be kind of hearing your background, because I think your background story is so inspiring. And I think, I want the readers to really connect to what you came from, where you came from and where you are now. So they can get a sense of your journey, right? So tell us a little bit about your background from your corporate life to fitness.
Yeah, well, for the women out there that are reading this, watching this, listening, or not reading this, but reading the magazine, I know exactly where they are because, like you said, my background is not in fitness. It's not by any means in fitness. I actually have a master's degree in music, of all things. I have a master's degree in classical music. I was focusing on being a classical soprano, but, I went through music school and decided this was I didn't want to spend my life auditioning. I did not like it. Got a job in social media for a symphony orchestra. And that propelled me into doing a little bit more of executive work. Actually, I began working with a lot of the executives at the orchestra. And then that led me into more PR, more executive work. And then I became actually the chief of staff for a group of 6 film companies in Toronto. So if you want to talk about stressful job, we're
totally different.
Completely. I just had this sort of interesting trajectory that led me there. Because I'm very organized. I'm obviously great with working with people. So that's the 2 most important things about being a chief of staff. So those skills lent myself very easily to fitting into that role. But it was very, very stressful at times.
Sure.
A lot of the time. So all the things that women that are working big jobs, actually, and I'll put stay-at-home moms in there too. That's very big job.
For sure. You can relate to them. You have, what the stress feels like, what positions, what their schedules are like, what their mindset is like.
Yes. And how overwhelming life can feel. Oh my gosh. Sure. I so deeply feel what those women are feeling. And those are the majority of my one-on-one clients and a lot of the women coming into my app as well, which I know we're going to get to, but so, and then, lockdown happened in Toronto, in Canada. We were locked down for a lot longer than you were in the US. So anyone listening to this in Canada will relate. And I, was living in an 800 square foot condo in a glass box in the sky in Toronto, and gyms closed immediately, they closed. And luckily I had some bands, 1 kettlebell, whatever else is around, big pillows.
Right.
And, for the first couple of weeks of lockdown, I was doing what a lot of people were doing. I was ordering a pizza every night, drinking a bottle of wine a night, sort of going on those Zoom socials where everyone was kind of joking about how kind of quote unquote fun it was. We're locked down. It was kind of a joke for a while until it wasn't. Right. And then actually my husband, who is brilliant at math, he was looking at all the statistics online, looking at what was happening around the world, what wasn't being reported, just sort of putting pieces together. And he's like, we're going to be locked down for 2 years. I was like, no way. No way.
At the to hear that at the beginning is
Yes. It was, I remember I was in disbelief. I was like, no way.
Right.
And he said, no, we're going to be locked down for 2 years or some version of it.
And that really got to you.
He was it completely just smacked me on the side of the head, because I was like, in that moment, I thought, I'm eating a pizza every night and drinking a bottle of wine and, joking about how funny this, I wasn't moving.
Right.
I was still working my job. Obviously, everyone had to remote work. So I was just sitting on my couch all day from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. at night on my computer working. And my husband said, he's like, okay, if we cannot get ourselves into the best shape we've ever gotten, because literally all the temptation had been taken away. I wasn't going to the grocery store. I was ordering my food online.
Restaurants.
No restaurants. The only thing,
no social events.
Nope. Nothing. There was no excuses. And he said, if we can't get ourselves into the best shape we've ever been in with everything locked down, then there is nobody to blame but ourselves. And I remember
Wow.
feeling that moment like I'd been punched in the gut, like I just felt this
Yeah.
pressure because in that moment I saw myself in the future 40 pounds heavier at the end of 2 years, 40 pounds heavier, 2 years older. I was, I'm 43 now, so I was 41 then. I'm like this, and I remember thinking, this is not going to get easier.
Yeah.
So, like Caroline, you gotta like
If you
put on your
can't
big
do it
girl
now,
panties. Yeah, like all the excuses that we all make. Oh, I'm so busy. Well, I wasn't busy. I was busy working on my computer, clickety clack, but I
right?
wasn't commuting. I wasn't having to go here or there. I didn't have anywhere to
Exactly.
go. We're also busy. Oh, I'm just too much temptation. Everything had been taken away. And there's a supplement company that I love. They always post these 8-week challenges, and they were launching one, and I did it. I was like, I'm going to do this. I held on to that 8-week challenge like a life raft, and everything changed from there. Everything. It
Okay.
was like, yeah, everything. I never went back. Never.
It was a sign from the universe.
It was a sign. Yep. Yep. So, um, yeah, and things just keep getting better.
Yeah. And so I know, when your husband said that to you, like if we can't get in the best shape of our lives during this lockdown,
Mhm.
it kind of, I know, triggered that sense of radical self accountability that you're
Yeah.
passionate about. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what radical self accountability is. What does that mean?
Yeah. To me, it means, well, first of all, it is the defining factor of a woman being successful on this journey, or a man, but I'm going to focus on women.
Sure. We're talking about
I
women.
get, yeah, yeah, yeah. I get asked that a lot. What is the one characteristic between people who succeed on this journey, long lasting, long
Long
lasting? A lot of
term.
people
Right.
succeed and then they gain it back versus the people who don't. So people who succeed long term, and it's radical, total accountability to yourself in this process.
Yes.
That means full acceptance, complete and full acceptance without a doubt that this is your journey to do, and nobody's going to give this to you. No one's going to give it to you, and then no one can take it away.
Yeah.
That's the
Exactly.
important thing. So everything that you
Yes.
need to do this is within you. It starts with you, it ends with you, it answers to you, you answer to yourself on this journey, because so much of this of weight loss and diet culture, etc., buy this thing, do this thing, grab this waist trainer. It's
Those are
like all these
outside of you.
external,
Those are
yeah,
all
all these
outside of you.
external, yeah, these
Right.
external things. It's so noisy and loud, and it's garbage. it's
Totally. Most of it is
it
total garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is completely up to us. No one is going to give this to us. And that's incredibly intimidating at first because we often actually don't want to accept that we're actually the ones that got us into this situation.
Yeah, definitely.
And
That's
that's
hard.
part of it. So you have to accept that, but then how empowering,
Right.
because it's completely within your power to change it. And then once you do, no one can take it away. So
And that
that's
that
what it
idea of
means to
that
me.
of that radical self accountability,
Yeah.
to me, when you had told me that, it really like struck a chord. I was like, I've not been able to like put the words together for what I'm trying to say,
To
but
articulate,
that
I
is
get
such
it.
to
Yeah.
artic. Yeah, that's such a great
Yeah.
articulation of it. And it's also one of those things where, don't you agree that when you're in a moment where you have a hard choice, or you're in a social setting where
Yeah.
your old habits are starting to rear their head, the
Yeah.
radical self accountability is what
Yeah.
keeps you on track. It's what
Yes.
keeps you on your goals. It's what keeps you
Yeah.
from reverting back or saying,
Completely.
like, oh, YOLO, I'm just gonna screw it all and do it up, for what that
Yeah.
radical self accountability, when you tap into that, that's the
Yeah.
define in those defining moments. Would you say that that's like what really like changes someone?
You totally hit the nail on the head in those defining moments. And what people also don't understand when they begin this journey, you must find this too with your one-on-one clients. I find this a lot with my one-on-one clients, is that it's usually about 6 months in when they're like, oh, this doesn't happen in these big moments. It's those teeny
Mm-mm.
tiny micro moments that you actually have to make teeny tiny decisions every single day. Keep going or to go backwards. Keep going, fall back into old habits. So those exactly
Right.
what you mentioned. So ingraining that radical, unequivocal, like, did I just use that? Did I just say that word right? I don't know. I'm
Yes.
that radical
Yes. Yes.
self accountability, unquestionable self accountability will always keep you making those micro shift moments moving forward, because yeah, there are so many moments in a day when you're going to fall back. And a lot of it is just habit based. There's nothing
Right.
wrong. You've just developed some
You
bad
haven't done
habits.
anything bad.
No,
Right.
no,
Yes.
you haven't done anything, but we become actually habitual in our decision making.
Right.
And so changing that is
The radical.
challenging.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you need that, like, okay, so in this moment, am I moving forward or am I moving backwards? And sometimes, and I find there too, there's that also, falls into something that I talk a lot about in my app on social media with my one-on-one clients, is that I really believe like there's two sides to that radical accountability.
Sure.
There's beautiful self-compassion, which is actually the soft side, because often when we feel like we're failing as women, we've tried to do too many things, we
Right.
take it on as some kind of personal failing that we can't do everything, all the things all at the same time.
Right.
So in that moment, our habitual response is to beat ourselves up. Self-compassion is actually the choice that will get you farther, faster in that moment, because the
Right.
habitual response is to beat ourselves up, but actually having a moment of kindness with yourself.
Yes.
But
Big.
also yeah, exactly. But also the flip side to that is that in those moments when you want to hit the snooze button and not go to the gym,
Yes.
that's when you need the harder side, and I call it the loving self-discipline side. Like, no, girl, nope, nope.
Not
You
today.
get out of bed. Nope, not today. Not today.
Yep.
You're getting out of bed. You're going to the gym. You want to sit here and stew over who did you wrong yesterday? Well, you can do that at the gym. Be pissed off at the gym.
Right.
Cry at the gym, but you're going. So
Yes.
there's
I love
two
that. So the
sides to
two
that.
sides. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a great way to think about it. I love that. Well, hey guys, hang on just a moment. We'll be right back with Caroline, and we have a lot more fun things to talk about. Hey, you, are you ready to embark on a transformation journey to a healthier, happier you? Join a community of like minded women by subscribing to Strong Fitness Magazine today. Right. Welcome back. We are here with March, April cover athlete, Strong Fitness Magazine, Caroline Drury, and we're just talking, getting to know her and her philosophies. And it's really just so inspiring talking about the radical self accountability. There's two sides to loving yourself. There's the discipline side, a little bit harder love, and there's the compassionate side, a little softer. And we need both. We need both of
We
those
absolutely need both. Yeah.
to move forward on our journey. And
Yeah.
with that radical self accountability, I know you just mentioned the snooze button. So
Mhm.
we talked about how time management is a huge part of
Yeah.
radical self accountability. And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that time management, whether it's you have a good time management or bad time management, those are learned habits. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your time management. Like, what's your day look like?
hmm I am very structured because, again, going back to radical self accountability and what makes women successful on this journey, long term or not,
Yeah.
organization is pillar number two. And it's actually such an important part of this process that on my application for women to work with me, it's like one of the top first three questions. I need to know how organized a woman is. So for me, I actually am very, very big on time blocking. I actually, each day in my week has a different focus, because I actually believe that time management is one thing. Everyone has time. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. But how do you manage your energy? And it's not just even in a
Yes.
day, it's managing your energy throughout the week. So,
Right.
for me, for example, Monday is my super heavy client focus day, because I've got the energy and I need to be focused. Working with clients
Yes.
is very sacred territory. And if I'm
Mhm.
not like with it and rested, I'm not going to be able to have as measured of a response as I think I could.
Right.
So, and then, each day of my week has a certain focus. And then within each day, I'm very big on time blocking, but in terms of my energy management, and that's a big
I
area
love
when I
that.
was,
I love
it,
that perspective.
it's so
Because so many
important.
women that we
Yeah.
talk to, that we work with, so many women listening to this, reading Strong Fitness
Yeah,
Magazine, they don't know why they're so exhausted all the time.
exactly.
They can't figure
Exactly.
out why they have no
Yeah.
energy, no spark, no
Yeah.
passion anymore, because their
Yeah.
energy is just totally sucked out of them. And instead of looking at it like minutes and hours and days and weeks, it's like,
Yeah.
what about your energy? Right?
Yeah.
Like, and having a plan for
Completely.
that.
Yes, yeah. And so the way that I look at it for myself, so my weeks flow based on my energy. Um, And I'm talking about like the energy, like the actual like energy to get things done, not the sort of esoteric energy.
Right, right, right.
Super
No, it's
clear
like
with it. Yeah, my
you front load your, it's another way
yeah,
to start. It's like you front load your week, you
completely.
front load your
Yeah,
days because
yeah,
we have more energy on Monday than we do on Friday. We have more
yeah,
energy at 6 a.m. than we do at 6 p.m.
exactly,
Those are just
completely.
natural things. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And in terms of myself, because like you said, a lot of women that are have so many demands on them, and I know this from my past
Right.
corporate life, was I had zero parameters around where work fit in my life, where family fit, where my other responsibilities fit, and I was hoping and wishing I'd get myself in there. I always
That
say to
just
people,
doesn't,
hoping and wishing doesn't work. I'm sorry, that's for amateurs. Like, you're here to level up. Let's put a plan in place. So the way that I look at it for myself, I am a 4 a.m. riser. I love the quiet of the day, but 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. is my time. And then women who are still working corporate say, oh, I could never do that. Actually, you can. You can. And I actually figured this out towards the end of my corporate time. So 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. is my time.
yeah.
9 a.m. to 4 p.m. work time. So 4 to 9, 9 to 4. And then 4 o'clock, boom. Like, my husband and I have an appointment with each other every day. We go for a walk at 4 p.m. because I will keep working. So that's
You
a
need that
fail safe.
boundary. You need
Yeah,
that
I need that
like
boundary.
straight boundary. So what would
Yes.
you tell
Yeah.
the woman? I know you just mentioned this a little bit, but what would
Yeah.
you tell the woman that's like, I can't get up that early. I
Mhm.
just can't. I'm not a morning person. I can't get up that
Yeah.
early. I'm too tired. That would never work for me. Like, what would you
Yeah.
tell that person?
Yeah.
Because those again are habits. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
tell that person who doesn't think they can get up early? And you don't necessarily have to get up at 4 a.m. It could be
Oh God,
5, it
no,
could be
no, you don't have to
6.
be. You don't
Everybody,
have to be
so we're
4
not,
a.m.
I don't want the listeners to think like, oh my God, I have to get
No.
up at 4 a.m. to be
Oh God,
successful.
no.
Absolutely
God,
not.
no. No.
But
No.
you can get up an hour earlier than you need to. You
Yeah.
can get up 2 hours earlier and make the most of those. So what would you tell that woman that is like,
Yeah.
there's no way I could get up an hour earlier, 2 hours earlier?
Yeah. Small increments of time. That's how I've found to be most successful, because you're not going to jump from getting up at 4 a.m. to all of a sudden, or sorry, getting up at 8 a.m. to getting up at 6 a.m. even. It's just never going to happen. So like a long vision plan of a couple months of how you're going to get up 15 minutes earlier, 15 minutes
Okay.
earlier,
I love
because
that.
that's actually one of the powerful mindset tools that I use on my journey. And I use this with my clients, and I coach it in my app, is because your brain and that old part of your brain doesn't want to give up control. It's scary.
Right.
It's scared of change. It would rather have the devil it knows rather than the devil it doesn't know. So I'm going to continue
Sure.
feeling tired and crappy rather than the pain of trying to learn to get up earlier. I'm going to choose the pain that I know versus the pain I don't know. However, you can negotiate with your brain. This is the thing. It doesn't have to be, I'd say, you know what? I'm just going to try this for a week. I'm going to get up 15 minutes earlier for a week. You tell yourself that.
Okay.
We can stop at
Yeah.
any time. We can stop next week. If this sucks, we're going to stop next week. Like, then the brain loosens its strings. Is like,
It's like,
oh, I
oh,
can
this
get on
isn't
board
so
with that.
bad.
Yeah, this is okay. Because when I was working corporate, actually, I didn't get up at 4 a.m. when I was working corporate. Well, initially I got up at 6 a.m. I found that I was way too rushed. I still wanted to go to the gym. I had to be at work at 8 or
That's
8:30. I would leave the gym at 8. And so but I was still too rushed. So I was like, well, let's try
sure.
5:30. Maybe if I just give myself like 20, 25 minutes in the morning before. And then I was like, oh, I kind of like this. I can sit and have a coffee. And then I
You're
was like,
not
I'm gonna
so
get up at
rushed. Yeah.
totally, yeah. I'm gonna get up at 5. Oh, because I like this. This is actually, things are happening here. I'm feeling good. It sets my mind up. And then, I figured out what I could do during that time. A lot of it was actually just sitting in silence with a cup of coffee. I will journal sometimes. I go through fits and spurts of journaling, but I tell people,
Sure.
what is going to entice you to get out of bed? What's going to be like, so if it's like you need to get a big comfy sweater, and that's what I do. I get out of bed and I put on this big comfy sweater and my sweatpants and my fuzzy slippers, and my coffee's made. I can smell it. I'm like, oh yeah,
I know
you
you
know.
and I are both like, we'll get out of bed for coffee. Like, I will
Oh
wake
man,
up for
alive.
coffee.
Yeah.
Like, I like look forward to
Yeah.
that smell and that
Yeah.
first like foamy sip. Like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
No,
Like, pick something to get out of bed for. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, you don't have to do it all at once. Tell yourself you're going to do 15 minutes earlier for this week. Negotiate with your brain. They just 15 minutes this week. That's it. No big deal. And then you might see some benefits, and then the brain's like, oh,
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy, and then you can progress from there. But putting a plan in place, because no, you're not going to get up 3 hours earlier automatically. That's just a plan for failure. But
Totally. Yeah,
yeah,
awesome. And so, again, that's like going from one extreme to another. And I know
yes,
you're very big against extremes. The whole
yeah,
all or nothing
yes.
mindset. What's your when I say all or nothing, what do you say to people? What's your thing with all or nothing?
All or nothing is always nothing.
Yes. I love
Yeah,
that so much
yeah,
because we have such a culture of like these
yeah.
extreme workouts, these extreme diets, these
Hmm.
extreme everything. And I think one thing that we both can agree that we love about Strong Fitness Magazine is it's not the extremes. It's like
Totally not.
this
No.
is actually relatable, doable for the everyday woman, not a
Yeah.
professional athlete, not yes, we appreciate the professional athlete, but
Yeah.
this isn't an extreme diet. This is an extreme workout fitness plan. So yeah, all or nothing always is nothing.
It's always nothing. Like I always,
Yes.
and that actually I get a lot of, and you must too with your clients, and I know again, like a lot of women that read Strong Magazine are very intelligent, high functioning, all or nothing, perfectionist, A-type
Sure.
personalities, and and so I really, getting women sort of to crack that nut between all or nothing
Yes.
always being, it always
Yes.
ends up being nothing. And because
Right.
I always ask people, I always ask women, when has it ever been all? When has it ever been all? Because whenever it's all,
It
in
lasts
my
10 minutes.
experience, it lasts 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
also, we know that feeling. There's an
Mhm.
incredible amount of mental tension that comes when we're in the all. And the brain is just because
Yes.
we know we're white knuckling it. We're holding on for dear life. And we're like, we know in the back of our minds this is not going to end well.
Right.
But we told ourselves, no, this time I'm going to be perfect every day for the rest of my life until I'm 102 years old. And I'm going to, it's like, it's just not
Yes.
possible.
No, it's not. It's not possible.
So,
And
yeah.
I know that mindset of all or nothing is always nothing
Yeah.
is something that has transferred for you into food freedom.
Oh my
Tell
gosh,
me,
yes.
tell me and the listeners
Yeah.
of Strong Fitness Magazine, what does food freedom mean to you?
Food freedom means to me being in choice with what you put in your mouth and how you relate to food. And I come by this very earnestly and honestly, if I can put those two words together there, because I had binge
Yeah,
eating disorder in my 20s. It lasted until my 30s. Um, Thankfully,
because of
I
all
got
or
like
nothing.
because of all or nothing perfectionist. Like in the world, I was a perfect person. I was employee of the year, employee of every minute, partner, anything like any. But to myself, I was garbage. And when I was, and I get asked a lot how I got through the binge eating. I got professional help, figured out what was
Which
triggering
is
because it wasn't about
let's
food.
make a
Yeah,
right, let's make
yeah,
a thing here. If you are
yes,
dealing with any type of disordered eating, a professional therapist number one. We are not medical
number one.
doctors.
Nope,
We are
nope.
not, these are our experiences. And
Yes,
if that's something that plagues you, that you deal with silently, please talk to somebody. Please. Both
yes,
Caroline and I have, had like therapy for things, and we all deserve that. We all deserve that.
yes. We all deserve. Actually, that's a very good point. We all deserve it. And I talk very honestly with my clients. Like anyone who applies to work with me, that's again one of the top questions on the application. Do you have a history of this? Because I am not an emotional eating
It's
therapist.
it's out of
Yeah,
our scope of
it's
practice. Correct.
completely out of my
Yes.
scope of practice, and I'm not going to for a minute ever pretend to be. Because without professional help, and for me it was figuring out why I had to be perfect. I was either perfect or I was a slob. That was it. So I figured that out, really worked on that, and and it took a year. It really took a year to dive into that. So I tell women too who feel so much shame around it, there is no shame for struggling like that because it's coming from somewhere, and you've struggled with this for so many
Right.
years. Take 1 year and really figure it out. It's 1 year. It might be longer for some people. I'm really
Sure,
generalizing
sure,
here, but however,
sure.
so in the terms of going back to the question, food
The food
freedom,
freedom.
being in choice with food. Now, that only came for me through, of course, working through my binge eating disorder, because that, was never food freedom in that. But getting through that now, it's like, okay, I decided to, I personally track macros. That's not for everybody. It's for me. With my one-on-one clients, I really work on macros. I kind of take people through. I always tell people, and what it was for me too, was really, it was like taking a 1 year master's degree, like 1 year. I was like, I'm going to figure this thing out. I'm going to just teach myself how to eat. Because actually, I don't know how to eat. I was either
Yeah.
overeating or I was so hungry, I was shaking. It was one extreme, again, going back to it was one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
So I decided in 2020, around the same time that obviously with all of this change that I did during COVID, I was like, I don't know how to eat. So I decided I was going to take 2,000 calories a day, divide it by 5, 40%, 30%, 30% split. I don't know why I did that. I just picked a number I'd seen somewhere, and I decided I was going to teach myself how to eat. And what I learned is that food is really great. Food is great. It is
Yes.
nothing to be afraid of. And that was my first sign of entering into food freedom. And then I realized, oh, well, if I'm planning macros and tracking my macros, because this is getting me to my physical goals, I'm not hungry all the time.
Right.
I'm going to choose to have like a
And you
really
start to
great,
see like, oh, I see these
yeah,
muscles that
I
I've
see
been building.
muscles. Oh, these are nice.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
abs. What?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And meanwhile, eating more food than I've ever eaten in my life. So all of a sudden, like, I'm feeling good. My training is going well because I have energy.
Right.
and I'm not obsessed with food, and not being obsessed with food was part of my food
Sure.
freedom philosophy. And also, oh, I'm still going to have my pizza night every Friday night and my glass of wine, because I'm choosing to do that, not because I had a rough week and I
You're
want to
making
down a
you're
bottle of
an
wine.
aware, conscious choice for that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, so really it is, food freedom is to me, is being in choice with food.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
I know a huge component of that for you is educating yourself. And
Yeah.
also tell us about how you educate others now, because once you learn these
Mhm.
things about food, you cannot
Yeah.
unlearn them.
You
It's
cannot
with you. It's
unlearn them.
it's always
Yeah.
with you, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how
So
big is
for
education for you?
massive, massive, gigantic everything. I'll answer your question in two parts. With my
Okay.
one-on-one clients, they come to me for a specific result. They're paying me a decent, good amount of money for a specific result, for a specific
Sure.
thing, and macros are the way to do that, because macros is like baking a cake. It's a science experiment with you.
Right.
And it's like certain quantities of things will give you the result. Use a certain amount of flour, sugar, XYZ, you get a certain
Totally.
size of a cake, or you get a cupcake. So it's the same concept. Back and so and but with that, with my one-on-one clients, I'm teaching them in that process how to know their food, how to know these protein sources, these carb sources, healthy sources, all these things, how to put a
Right.
great plate together. But for the general public, because again, my one-on-one clients are coming to me for a specific reason and a specific
Right.
result. I'm finding, though, now that I've launched my app, a lot of women, and I love it, macros just isn't for them. They want to know how to put together a healthy plate. So in other ways, so that's completely the premise of the nutrition in my app, is education based, because I have never had a woman come to me or through my DMs say, can you recommend to me the best macro calculator? All the only questions I've ever
Nobody wants
had was,
that. Right.
how do I start with macros? How do I actually know what, like, to
What
eat well?
is?
Like,
Yeah.
how do I know what to eat? And so I'm like, oh,
Right.
that's interesting. So my philosophy is like, I want to teach women how to put together a healthy plate that they like,
Right. For
not what
their taste buds,
for
for
their
their
taste buds. Yeah.
preferences. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you can't write on a piece of paper and send an
No.
email with what to eat today. It's like, no, no, no. People miss the
No.
point because you're not learning then. You have to
Yeah.
learn, what do you like, an apple? Do you like an orange?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't like either.
Completely.
Maybe you like raspberries. Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know I liked raspberries, because you have to
Yeah.
experiment, right? To see, and that's just one example, but you have to
Yeah.
do that with a lot of different things to get to be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this works for me.
Yes. And that actually plays then into the food freedom,
Yes.
because there is so much. anxiety around food for women. And I know this so well from my past lives and everything.
Right.
There's so much anxiety and especially dining out,
Hmm.
traveling,
Right.
going over to friends' houses when you don't know what's going to be served, things like that. Like there are such easy and tangible ways to
To
lessen the
handle that.
anxiety. And it's really
Right.
through education. And I find for women, through education and trial and error. And this
Sure.
again
It
goes
takes
to playing.
practice.
It takes
Yeah.
practice and it also takes failing.
Right.
So,
Right.
and
You
that's
go out to a
okay.
social event and you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap, I didn't hit it on the nail today. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you know next time, okay, next time I need to do this
Yeah.
before I leave. I need to make sure to do this while it's a learning
Yeah.
process and we have to be willing to be
Completely.
part of that process. It can't be all or nothing. It takes time.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so I hope people that are listening to this, women that are listening, are sorry, because you're doing such a great job in asking these questions, actually, that they're all the dots are
Thank you.
getting connected. It's like
Yeah.
all the dots are getting connected. So I really hope that women listening so far are starting to see how this all comes together, because it
Yes.
really is like all of these parts sort of dance with each other. And I usually find for women, um, that it's not because there's anything wrong with you. You just actually, there's a knowledge gap. There's a knowledge gap
Yes.
between having a successful evening out where you've had a steak and some veggies at a restaurant, oh, and a couple pieces of bread and one glass of wine.
And
That's
you enjoyed yourself.
fun. And you enjoyed yourself
Yeah.
between that and, oh my God, I failed. Oh shit, I didn't plan. Oh, sorry, I swore. It's like, oh crap, I didn't
Yes.
plan. I
Right.
don't even know how to plan. What do I do? Oh, I starved myself all day long. I'm gonna gorge tonight. There's just, it's just like there's a gap of knowledge actually. And once we
Yes.
get that knowledge gap cleared up, which is actually one or two things, again, these tiny micro
Mhm.
shifts, and deciding, what, I just can't do this anymore this way. Like I can't starve
It's
myself
not
all day because
working.
it's not working, and then go out to dinner at night and hope that I'm going to have my salad and chicken.
Right.
Doesn't
Yeah.
work that way.
No, it doesn't. It
So
doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't. And, we'll be back in just a moment here talking more with Caroline, getting deeper into this process. So we'll see you in just a moment. Have you been killing it in the gym and would love to appear in the pages of Strong Fitness Magazine? Contact us through our website, strongfitnessmag.com. We'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, we're back here with Caroline Drury, our March, April cover athlete for Strong Fitness Magazine. And, we've talked about radical self accountability. We've talked about food freedom and, talk a little bit about macros, which if you want to learn more about, you can definitely contact Caroline and look into her app. So after the last few years and starting coaching clients, you came up with this idea to have an app because you wanted to help more people as a single person, like as a one human being. You can only talk to so many people a day. You can only help
Yeah.
so many coaching clients a day. So,
Yeah.
this app allows you to help so many more women,
Yeah.
not just from a financial perspective, but
Yeah.
also just it allows so many more people to get the education that you are offering for
Yeah.
radical self accountability, time management, fitness, and, food freedom. So tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about this coaching app that you've designed.
Yeah. The app is called Beyond Before and After. And the concept of it came from a number of questions that I got in my DMs from women that were like, Caroline, I love these before and after images you put up of you, your clients. It's so inspiring. But like, what happens in the middle? Like that middle line that splits the before and after, what happens in there? And then what
Yeah.
happens after? Like what after? Okay, so they got this photo. Amazing. Now what?
Right.
Like I got this question a number of times that it warranted
And it was like,
really giving some thought to that, not
yeah.
just beyond before and after, like what's beyond the before and after photo, but like what does that actually mean? How do I actually get these women to have these before and afters? How did I do it myself?
Right.
So that was really the concept behind everything that went into the app. I'm going to regress one thing for one moment. So when I decided I needed to do the app was when I launched my one-on-one coaching business in late October of 2022. 2022. And I only at that time had like 6,000 followers on Instagram, and I was like really hoping that maybe I'd I'd get 30 applications. I was like, okay, I'm gonna launch this business, and I just need 30. I need maybe like 40 applications because I only have a spot for 40, but I'll take 30. That's good too. And I launched the business, and I had 1,000 downloads of my application, and I think about 200 women applied to work with me. And I
Wow, that's
only could,
incredible.
I knew I was blown away, and I was so
Yeah, that's
grateful.
amazing.
And so and I still keep getting applications, which I love. And so, but in that moment, I had I celebrated, and then I had,
Yeah.
oh no, like I'm going to have a wait
These
list,
people,
which
these women need help. They
they
want
need
help.
help. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I physically could only take on 40 clients. I think in the end, I actually ended up taking 50 because it broke my heart to say no to I couldn't. Anyways, but everybody else had to unfortunately go on a wait list, and that broke my heart because women, like, I do not want women to wait. And also, um, one-on-one coaching is not financially
Right.
in,
Feasible
in
for
the in the
everybody.
wheelhouse for a lot of people. Yeah,
Right.
completely. So in that moment, I knew that I was going to do an app. I just knew it. So I obviously got my one-on-one coaching business up and going, and then immediately in the new year, I started putting it together because I wanted all of the essentials of what I do in my one-on-one coaching, and that positivity that I radiate around this. I'm told that that's what that the
Yes.
positivity of how I feel about this process mixed with that, like, come on, radical accountability side of things. I really wanted that to be able to be transferred into an app for a larger scale and to help more
Yeah,
women. Yeah, that's
definitely.
been super fun.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see
Thank
like how
you.
that grows and how many women you can really truly help to educate and give
Yeah.
food freedom, give
Yeah.
them, get rid of that all or nothing thinking, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, you launch this app and then you get asked to do a cover shoot with Strong Fitness
Yeah.
magazine. So, you had mentioned that was kind of like a bucket list thing for you.
It was.
Tell
Yeah.
us what does being a cover athlete for Strong Fitness app magazine, what does that mean to you?
It means, oh my gosh, so many things. How do I narrow it down? I'm so proud. For me personally,
Yeah,
I'm really proud of myself to have gone on this journey. And I really want women to know too that I didn't diet down for this cover shoot. That was a very important part of this because
this is
so
the
that
body
makes
that
me
you
feel
live in.
live in. This is the body that
Live
I live
in.
in because I could not tell women in my app and my one-on-one clients one thing because my job with them and what I feel so passionate about is getting women if they need to lose weight for their health, get through the diet phase. We're going to make this the last diet you ever do. There's no going back. We're going to make sure this is done, and then you live in your body, and that body's going to be amazing. So I could not. I feel very very strong against not continually dieting and doing these mini cuts. I think that's just another word for yo-yo dieting personally, used in the wrong context. I'm not talking
Correct.
about like
Yes.
physique athletes here. I'm not talking about
Right,
physique
right.
athletes, but for the lifestyle woman, I just don't believe in it personally because I think if you're really having radical self accountability all the time, there should be no need for one personally. So I could not be preaching that and then be a hypocrite and diet
Sure.
to be on the cover of a magazine. It was so important to me to not diet, and I didn't. And so I'm really proud of that. And what I want to show women, and what this means to me, is being able to show maybe a different side of fitness, which
Yeah.
is living in a fit body
Right.
and enjoying that, and also not being restrictive with it, but
Right.
actually showing women that you can be super joyful through this journey. You can do the things you like. You can get rid of the shoulds. Oh, I should do this, or I heard I should take this supplement. I need this fat. Blah, blah, blah.
Right. Nope. You don't need it.
No, you don't need it. So to me, it really means hopefully showing another side, maybe
Right.
showing a little bit like a really positive, joyful side of this. I mean, I take it very seriously. This is not,
Yes.
I take fitness very seriously. I take the
Of
fitness
course.
of my clients and subscribers incredibly seriously. But anything that we're going to stick to in the long term has to be enjoyable.
Yeah. Definitely. I totally
Yeah.
agree. Well, that's so awesome. Okay, so I asked these two questions. These are kind of like the last two questions for the
Yeah.
interview. The first one is, what would you, if you could go back in time and tell little Caroline
Yeah.
some any advice, what would it be? What would you tell little Caroline?
Yeah. Oh man, you're gonna make me cry. Oh, wow. Oh, so many things. I think the biggest thing is oh, she was like filled with so much doubt about herself. And I would just go back and say, you are so loved and you are so wonderful. And like life is magical. Life is so magical. Just know that. I know this kind of sucks right now. Life is so magical. So just do not, never, ever let that like light in you dim, ever, ever. Just let life be magical and enjoy it.
That's beautiful.
Probably what I'd say.
That's beautiful. I
Oh,
love that. All
oh,
right. And my final question for you today is,
yeah.
what does being a strong woman mean to you?
I love that question. Strong, being a strong woman to me means being complete. And I'm not talking about work-life balance or anything like that, but understanding that we are complete human beings and food and fitness and health and all those things are part of it. But being strong, I think, honors that as the baseline, as the foundation. But then we have good relationships. Our health and our fitness and food free, those are just the springboards. And going
Right.
back to the magic of being alive, making sure like our healthy relationships are part of that. Um, Knowing when to say yes and knowing when to say no, that's being strong.
Yeah.
Giving to others while also giving to ourselves, being great at work, being great in our community, those kinds of things. And I think that's so that's what I mean when I say like a complete woman. And we don't always honor all of those parts. And also, honoring the many different parts of us inside. Sometimes I'm really fierce and gritty. Sometimes I need to be soft. So I think being
Yes.
strong, being a strong woman, being strong is being able to embody all of those parts of us, not all at the same time, but embody all of those parts of us and loving that about ourselves, actually, that we're multifaceted human beings. That's really cool, I
It is
think.
really cool. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Caroline, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to interview you for Strong Talks and to get to know you a little bit better. I hope our listeners and our readers will go immediately follow you on Instagram
Oh,
and
thank
see all of the
you.
positivity and wonderful things you are doing to educate women, to give them food freedom, to help people understand what radical self accountability is and how much
Thank you.
better that can make their lives. So, you guys make sure to follow Caroline. Make sure to follow Strong Fitness Magazine, and we are just so excited to have you on the cover this month, and it is just so exciting. So congratulations, and thank you so much for being here. We will see you
Oh, thank
guys
you.
for episode 3 here shortly. Until then, you guys have a great day.